The year was 1298 AD, and in the wake of the resounding Scottish triumph at Stirling Bridge, William Wallace, the indomitable guardian of Scotland, pushed southward with ruthless determination. From the fortified walls of Newcastle to the borders of Carlisle, the Scottish army left a trail of scorched earth and defiant raids. These relentless incursions did more than seize spoils. They sent a chilling message across the English heartlands. Scotland's fight for freedom had only just begun. Meanwhile, in the English court, King Edward, learning of the defeat at Stirling Bridge, swiftly sought to avenge this blow to his northern army. Having secured a truce with the French king, Philip the Fair, Edward returned to England, relocating the centre of government to York. The truce provided a brief respite, but the embers of conflict smouldered, and preparations for a second invasion of Scotland intensified. In the city of York, a council of war convened in April, aiming to finalize the details of the impending invasion. The Scottish magnates, summoned to attend, chose defiance over submission, resulting in their declaration as traitors by Edward. The English monarch then set the stage for the assembly of his forces at Roxburgh on June 25th. The army, a formidable mix of 2,000 armoured cavalry and around 12,000 infantry, commenced its march. Edward's journey northward was punctuated by challenges, including a Welsh mutiny and delays due to inclement weather affecting the arrival of crucial supplies. Finally, on July 20th, the English forces led by Edward reached Linlithgow. The Scots, under Wallace, awaited near Falkirk, ready to engage in a strategic confrontation. The Battle of Falkirk unfolded on July 22nd, with both sides taking positions on the field. The Scottish army, adopting a strategy similar to the one at Stirling Bridge, organized itself into 4 massive formations known as Schiltrons. These hedgehogs, bristling with long spears arranged at various heights, presented a formidable and seemingly impenetrable front. The archers filled the gaps between the Schiltrons, and 500 mounted knights stood at the rear. Yet, notable absentees cast shadows on the Scottish forces. The Commons and Robert Bruce were notably missing, and the heroic Andrew Moray, co-victor at Stirling Bridge, was absent, having succumbed to mortal wounds. Moray, instrumental in the offensive use of schiltrons, left a void in the Scottish strategy. As the sun dawned over Falkirk, the fields bore witness to a looming confrontation where the echoes of Stirling Bridge reverberated and the fate of Scotland hung in the balance. The English cavalry, divided into 4 battle groups, advanced strategically. The vanguard, led by the Earl of Lincoln, maneuvered to the left to avoid a marshy area, followed by the formation of John de Warenne, Earl of Surrey. The battalion of Anthony Beck, Bishop of Durham, and the King's force moved around the marsh to the right, targeting the Scottish left flank. Lincoln's and Beck's units charged the Scots, leading to a swift routing of the Scottish cavalry. The Scots bowmen, commanded by Sir John Stewart, the younger brother of the High Steward of Scotland, resisted the English cavalry, but were eventually overrun. Despite this, the Schiltrons held firm, and the knights struggled to make a significant impact on the densely packed forest of long spears. In the attempts to break the Schiltrons, 111 horses were killed. Edward's cavalry fell back as his infantry and archers arrived on the scene. Edward's archers unleashed a barrage of projectiles on the Scottish spearmen who lacked adequate defences and cover. Pinned in place by the combined assault of English cavalry and infantry, the Scots, unable to retreat or effectively counterattack, began to lose ground. Following the King's command, the English forces waited until the Scottish ranks were sufficiently thinned and disordered. Seizing the opportunity, they then moved in to break up the Schiltrons. The English cavalry and infantry launched a concerted attack on the wavering Scottish spearmen, causing the Schiltrons to break and scatter. The Battle of Falkirk ended with a decisive victory for the English, showcasing the effectiveness of combined arms tactics against the Scottish Schiltrons. After the Battle of Falkirk, the military dynamics in Scotland underwent a shift. Edward I, despite occupying Stirling and conducting raids into Scottish territories, chose to retreat to Carlisle by September 9, 1298. This move indicated a strategic decision rather than a decisive conquest. Edward later initiated another invasion in the summer of 1300. Casualties among Scottish leaders included notable figures such as Sir John de Graham, Sir John Stewart, and Macduff of Fife. While the losses were not overwhelmingly heavy among the leadership, the defeat highlighted the limitations of William Wallace as a conventional military leader. Evan MacLeod Barron and Stuart Reid both critique Wallace's approach at Falkirk, emphasizing that his strengths lay more in guerrilla tactics than in organizing and leading a conventional force. Barron suggests that Falkirk might have been ill-conceived, questioning whether the same strategic mind planned both the Battle of Falkirk and the earlier successful Battle of Stirling Bridge. Despite the setback at Falkirk and Wallace's resignation from leadership, he continued to symbolize the aspirations of the Scottish people. His popularity and daring spirit marked him as a target for King Edward, who was determined to quell the embodiment of Scottish resistance. The contrasting skills of Wallace and his fallen comrade Andrew Moray are noted, with Moray being seen as possessing military genius and training. The aftermath of Falkirk set the stage for a nuanced and complex struggle between the forces of occupation and Scottish resilience.
On this channel, we are putting together narrative historical cinematic battles. Make sure to subscribe and thank you for watching. See you on the next one.